Evening, ladies and gents. This is going to be a bit of a different one for you. You're going to have to get used to a few changes here now. I've been toying around with doing this for a while. I didn't know how it'd execute, and I've got to have all the not the content really, the pictures and whatnots ready to go to do it. So what you likely see, you might see me looking this way a little bit as opposed to straight on at you. I've got a dual screen setup going on here because I'm likely going to be spending the next hour and a half, certainly no later than 8:15, is it? Something very important happening at that time. Uploading Dainichi Toyota Fish to the website. So obviously I wanted to keep starters with me to go on with these episodes and update you on what we're planning for this week. First of all, not completely prepared for it, but we'll get a bit. Going to take a look at some of those NND Sankis I've got loaded on the website in a bit more detail. And then I'm just going to work away. So you might hear a bit of tapping. You'll see me, I don't know, because I've actually got the stream on this screen as I look and see your questions coming up. Where this might actually fall short is that it's going to actually rely on a bit of multitasking. So there's definitely going to be points if I'm uploading a fish where you might get me go quiet, or if I'm halfway in a question, let's see, it might be an absolute shit show. It really might be a shit show. So who knows? Let's see. But I'm here anyway. The kind of point in this is we've discussed this internally, and it's like we will be doing a WhatsApp session, and we're there behind the screen, and it seems crazy, isn't it, that we can't kind of be here and making it all happen. So yeah. Let's see what happens. But like I say, I'll certainly be gone around 8 o'clock. And weirdly, or not even weirdly, I'm also waiting. There might be a call in between, or I've not had any updates yet on. I've got a shipment currently sat at Heathrow, which my driver's down there waiting to get it picked up and brought here. It's been a long time since I've had one of these evening ones. They are absolutely horrible, let me tell you. So yeah, we'll get that call, and then I guess it'll be somewhere, if all goes well, between 10 and 11 p.m. when that actually gets back to the farm. And me and Cole will get it unpacked then. But yeah, can't wait for this one coming. Some nice variety gaps filled. We're in need of it as well at the moment. So what's that going to be? Two in 2 weeks, 2 in 3 weeks? I've lost track. But there we go. So hope you're all well. Anyway, I'll give you a bit of an idea look of what this might look like a couple of times, because I've got the website sat there. We're going to take a closer look at some of these at the moment, because I can't believe there's a couple of these. I'm absolutely shocked they've not been snapped up. So I can dive into there. That is a live view of the Koi Online website. Look, so we can get in, dive into them. Especially that one. That one really did shock me. But like I say, we'll get to that shortly. For now, I was literally just faffing away there with, like I say, do prepare for me going quiet. And at the end, whether you're watching this live or whatever it is, let me know what you think. But feel free, any questions or any topical discussion, that'd be a good one. Any topical discussion that you can have in the chat as well as me butting in would be awesome, and we can get that vibing. So yeah, I was just going to get this one, because once I've got a template doing here, and to be honest, I could do all my pictures better organized, but they aren't, unfortunately. And it's you won't see them firing onto the website too quickly, because it's really quite involved. This, especially, I've got all the information spread out. When we're doing a big batch upload, normally it really relies on me having all the information in the right place, easy places, and it's not at the moment. So there's also half a chance I abandon this altogether. Who knows? So yeah, a couple of we decided to go with a couple of prize competitions, which I'm going to get set up tomorrow. I was put under tremendous pressure in the group, bullied almost by Chris, I think it was, to put that gigantic male Karashi that I've got. It's been on the group. Nobody snapped it up. So they, yes, Tom, the Chags are coming tonight. No one snapped it up. So we're going to do that with a £2.50 a go prize competition on that one, which I think will be quite cool. And then we decided, because I've got the Yellow Monkey, it was the show that got picked last week, because I've got the Yellow Monkey already done. We're going to go with, I'm going to pair it with an Orange Monkey for the choice. So the prestigious prize draw, if you like, for the week or prize competition will be exactly that. Let me just get to these a minute. There we go. Yeah, so it's going to be a choice of a fabulous, and honestly, them orange monkeys, the color. I was a massive skeptic. It'd be hard to know what kind of variety to place them as, really. And the whole monkey term is obviously being used at the moment quite, would you say, overused? I think what I do like now is Dainichi's actually got to the point where they are actually now putting it as the parent fish, which is correct. You know, they are the parent fish is Yellow Monkey, and then from there on you've got the iterations of it. So Ginrin Karashi, Ginrin Chagoi, the white ones, I'm not quite sure where they're going with them, because technically, yes, Ginrin Shiro Muji or white Karashi. This is the interesting part of it all. And yeah, I don't know. I know what I think to them dark ones that are getting thrown off it. I'm not a fan of them whatsoever. God, these videos take some uploading on here. Yeah, this is going to be a very slow process, ladies and gents, getting anything else on there, because I cannot believe how slow that video is processing. Crazy. Right, anyway, before I know, let's have a look. Let's have a look what the first topic of conversation might be here. So, evening. Let me take that off a minute as well, because nothing's changing on there for the time being. There we go. Get me on the big screen. Evening. Is there anything else besides feeding good colour food to the Pandora Tosai that will help keep deep red of the Hyosori? So the real magic with that is getting the colour food is the special part, and good light exposure. Because I always say it, you know, if you're at the point where you are feeding colour food, but you've got them in the dark, you're pissing in the wind pretty much. So you definitely want, if you've got decent light exposure, that will be enough, because the raw color potential in the fish is quite phenomenal already. So if you've got really good UV and light exposure there, you're gonna do well, because ultimately what you can't do is, if genetically color is absolutely shit, you're not going to get any decent performance out of it. You know, you feed it all the color food in the world, and if the potential genetically is not in it, you're never going to get it to do anything, quite literally. So but color food will push it up a gear without a doubt. And in all them instances where you've seen me have them and they're absolutely insane, that is exactly what that's been done. It's the color food adding that extra layer of enhancement to it all. So yeah, I've got this information spread on too many screens here. There we go. Might actually have one on in a minute. Absolute tedium. We try these things, don't we? Let's have a look. So yes, and I would always recommend. I know the color food is mighty expensive, especially if we're talking sake. I don't advise. The only color foods I've ever rated are typically the Japanese ones, whether that be an FD or a sake. given the price of the FD, I'd have no idea why somebody would choose FD over the Sake. I just don't. And it just makes a massive difference to the overall look of your collection. So let's just get that. Yeah, I would. You've not got to feed it massively in a mixed pond, because there might be varieties in there you don't want to tank. About a quarter during the warmest months of the summer will make a big difference, especially at that point when you're growing the fish, you're stretching things a bit more. Because paint, it's like putting layers of paint on the wall, is building up color. It takes time for one, and you've got to build up them layers, and that's ultimately what you will do with a color food. But if you're going through a period of heavy growth, it's almost like you can stretch them layers a bit. And what you don't want to do is get it too far behind. You want to be progressing the color all the time. I've seen fish often kept in ponds where they've not got enough light exposure, or there was this weird obsession, everyone keeping them in super soft RO water and trying to get the color to actually stop progressing, which it always blew my mind, because you've got this element of time where you are building and layering that color up. And I saw these fish kept in these environments, and they just never, the color never peaked properly, never matured properly. So you end up looking at these big fish and the color looking like that of a 2-year-old, and it's all wrong. It's all backwards. It was about this thing of longevity of the color. Yes, you'll extend it a little bit, but you can do that just by manipulating light anyway. But that aside, it just didn't look like you got to build up them layers over time and really progress that color through, which is the real art of it. And again, not overdoing it. So too much light exposure can overstimulate the cells and bump from too much color food, because once you've burnt out the pigment, ultimately there is no more. So it's not like it instantly falls off a cliff, but depending on exactly how good it is, it might do, or at some point it is going to go downhill. So here we go. I'm actually quite impressed I'm still managing to do the two things at the once, because saying that, someone might end up getting a bargain. I might end up listing one of these for like 25 quid. That'd be hilarious, wouldn't it? And whether I'll actually get into the flow and get any significant amount done, who knows? There we go. So yeah, as I'm going along, ladies and gents, if you're just tuning in a bit later, like I say, doing something a bit different. I'm actually uploading Dainichi Toyota pieces from the events, fish that haven't been selected. I'm still blown away by how many amazing fish are still there, as you're going to see as they hit the website. So they've got the overwintering, and that's the first mistake I nearly got there. In your free growing, they've got the overwintering until the end of March, £225 each. Obviously, they're not part of the event now. You literally see the individual fish pictures on there to snap them up. If you want them, if you didn't manage to get one the first time round, or you didn't want to do it in the event format, I know it's not for everyone. Although looking at that new system, I can see it being for more and more people, because it's very, very good fun. And we've had plenty of amazing feedback on that, which has been cool. Right, I reckon we might have one, I've actually managed to do it. How's that for you? Awesome. There we go. We've got one on anyway. What's that? Took me 14 minutes. Howdy, Ricky. Are you a proponent of PP? Oh, by the way, I'm still doing question time tomorrow night if I'm not completely dead, but I'm all intent on this. This shipment might get me a bit, but I'll probably sleep it off tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to go a bit topical on tomorrow night's question time. Around this, you've probably heard me mention ecosystem quite a bit, which is a big part of my koi keeping philosophy. And just with a few things I've seen on the Telegram group and bits and bobs over the past week, I think it's going to tie in because part of it was somebody's concern about shit in their pond and not being drawn out and bits and bobs. Got me thinking down all them routes and this ecosystem concept that I speak about. So I'm going to deep dive into that a little bit more. If you have got any questions or thoughts, get thinking now that you might be able to add to that tomorrow night, because it is going to be the main basis of the conversation. Right, there we go. Let me show you my work there. Why is that not working? There we go. So managed to get on. But that is an example, look, of what's still sat in them Dainichi Toyota. This is the Nanako Kohaku. I mean, look at the freaking body, Benny, everything on that. They are superb. So these that's just gone on live, sat there with those NND Sankis. Look, so yes, feel free. Although you'll have to be multitasking like me to actually have a look on there and do both. Unless you've got multi-screens, got me on the telly, you can browse the website on your phone, look away. It wouldn't that be amazing if we could merge all that together onto one kind of screen and platform at some point? That'd be awesome. I mean, imagine if I had the person in the team that would be able to make something like that happen. And obviously, if you are tuning in now, you're seeing me over here looking this way. It's because I've got the stream and all your comments on there. So, yes. Right, anyway, let me scroll back up there. And I'm going to get set for finding another fish then to get on. Howdy, Ricky. Are you a proponent of PP dips on new koi? If so, at what concentration and for how long? So PP dips, they're useful. Now, I think the big thing here is just not to be hoodwinked. Yes, if there is any parasites present on the fish, you will at that point eradicate them. With a PP dip, you wouldn't eradicate white spot. It won't touch it. Always needs something formalin based to get rid of that. But you will, like I say, get rid of most others, all your single cells, any flukes, blitz, and possibly not clearing up gill flukes entirely. But it's worthwhile bearing in mind. I mean, when you guys receive your fish, they are not as stressed as the ones I will get arriving tonight, because they're just not been through the same process whatsoever. Just bear with me, I'm a bit small on my screen. So they can take a little bit more stick at that point of you unpacking them. Now, when it comes to my fish that are arriving tonight, they won't be completely exhausted, but the last thing I want to do, the slime coat is possibly going to be a bit fragile because they'll have been sat in a concentration of ammonia for quite a while. The last thing I want to do is go and absolutely hammer them with a PP treatment, with a bath, which is very strong. They ain't going to thank me for that, is the bottom line. And that could actually send them down a path, because when I get my new fish arrive, the water's currently sat at 18 degrees. There's a bit of salt in there to help relieve any osmotic stress, osmotic pressure, to really let them. And unless I see any signs of anything really untoward in the first week, I just leave them alone for that whole period and let them rest, recover, get them eating, slowly building that up, and then go from there. Because especially with some of these small Tosai, it's a lot more important that I get that bit dealt with, because otherwise, they're skinny. They've already been starved for a week. They might not have been fed all that heavily beforehand. And the last thing I want is a massively underweight, because that will cause more harm, to be honest, probably than a few parasites. So yeah, that's so yeah, it's as you're around them, not been through that level of stress as you get them. So if it's something you want to do, absolutely crack on. I don't see any harm in doing it, really. 1 gram, it's a 1, 2, 3 bath. 1 gram, 2 gallons, 3 minutes is enough to get it done. It's very strong. It's very potent. Do not be fooled, however. That's not, if those fish are carrying a bacterial infection, you ain't going to stop it at all. That's still going to end up getting thrown into your pond. And further to that downside, you're also, I'm going to look for my picture here. There we go. There's still the stress that can come from mixing the two different fish, different viral loads possibly in your pond, different bacteria loads in your pond. You're not going to stop that. And what you might actually do is, in that mixing process with the dip, make the fish a little bit weaker than they might be going in. So it's a balancing act. Not something I do, like I say, but for different reasons, because the fish are exhausted when they arrive with me. Or they will be after that long journey. So personal preference, really. I generally, if I'm adding new fish, I think, right, I would work on the base. I'm going to expect something to happen. I'm working on the basis that I'm competent with a microscope. And after, say, 3 days, 5 days, something like that, I'm just going to do some precautionary scrapes across the whole pond and then medicate if needs be, or deal with any symptoms that might present at that point. Is when we're moving fish around, which I have to do often, that's generally what I go with, because I always anticipate the stress of the move actually causing problems that I'm going to need to deal with anyway. So yes, I hope that's useful. And like I say, a 1, 2, 3 bath, 1 gram, 2 gallons, 3 minutes. And you can convert that up into litres if needs be. Looks like I might have another one live here in a minute. See, I have got a template now I can work with. It makes it a bit easier. Like I say, if you are just tuning in, there's a chance I'll go quiet because I'm actually working away while I do this, uploading these fish to the website. And if there's any topical discussion, ladies and gents, feel free to have a chat amongst yourselves in the comments. There we go. Game on. Right, anyway, next question. In fact, I'll get to that in a minute because I'm just at that point where I need to make sure I press all the right buttons here. So if you are watching on your tellies, feel free to load your phone up. You can refresh it every now and again and see what's going up on the website if you fancy treating yourself. Because say the Dainichi Toyota pieces all looking superb, and there with the overwintering. And in a moment, I'm going to have a look at a few of these NND Sankeys I listed because I'm stunned by a few of them still being there. So just a reminder, first, I've already done the prize competitions, and I don't need to waffle on about that shit again. Right, who's next on the list? Marie, evening Ricky, evening all. With the unique Benny on the Dainichi Pandora Hiyotsori, how have they been, or how do you think they'll be received on the Japanese show scene? So it's nothing new to them. Hiyotsoris from Showa will be entered by, it's just not many, because the mentality of these Showa breeders is absolutely nuts, in that, you know, they'll have a good Hiyotsori and they'll literally just cull them because in their head they're a Showa breeder. There you go. It's absolutely bonkers. I was first sort of introduced to that concept by Fujo during my work experience the first time, and he literally put one in front of me and said, "Oh, Ricky, this is a very good Hiyotsori, but I'm a Showa breeder." And bosh, it was in the fish soup bucket, so to speak, which, I mean, it's fascinating, isn't it? But that's the Japanese. That's why they raise the fish they do. It's that crazy level of discipline and commitment. So, yeah, it's you don't see. I mean, a lot of the Hiyotsura that get entered. I mean, Shinoda dominates it. It's nothing that they would appreciate that high level of Benny, but still everything else has got to be right in Japan. And again, you won't see that many because a lot of these breeders just won't keep them. I actually had good success with a Hiyotsuri once. It was from Toyota before Pandora, and it won a first prize. And I knew when I got it at the auction, it'd be a first prize winner. I was that confident in it because it was that good. I thought that's going to take one hell of a fish to beat that. So sure enough, it did bag a first prize. But yeah, bigger ones, I don't see crazy amounts of them. And like I say, Shinoda does still tend to dominate. But I say it again more because the Showa breeders just don't spend any time on them. I know NND, one of the biggest prizes they've done, I think they've done actually a best in variety with the Hiyotsuri. Something they've never done with a Showa, interestingly enough. And that Hiyotsuri would have been a Showa offspring. So yeah, but yet they're still just fodder at NND. That's what they sort of see him as. It's fascinating, isn't it? So there we go. It's the Japanese. You'll never fully make total sense of that one. Let's see what else we've got. Mickey, hi Ricky, nice surprise for Tuesday, and hopefully he'll be wearing a Koi Online merchandise with pride supplied by one of the only Koi suppliers as well. Thank you very much, Mickey, and I'm on it. It's actually going to be an original limited edition Ricky Stoddart Nishikigoi hoodie, similar to the black one you might have seen me wearing, with some tweaks. I've been making progress on that today, actually. Oops, excuse me. So I think we're going to have something on that. I just want to do one more. We're going to do one more run, which will get the lads all one and try a couple of things, sign off the final one, and away we go. We'll probably put them out for pre-order at that point. God, honestly, these pictures, the processing time on these videos behind here is absolutely shite. Tom, evening, Ricky. We'll be holding a collection day down at the unit like last year, where we got to see the fish in the boxes, grab a drink and chat. Yes, absolutely. Because you might have seen yesterday, I actually shared in the Koi Online group some videos of the salt ponds that are full of all your lot's fish. And it absolutely is melting my brain to look at it because it's... Yeah, there was a lot of the ponds taken up with them, as you probably saw. And on top of that, there's a lot of fish in those ponds as well. So although overwintering ends at the end of March, I mean, there's no way we're going to be shipping them fish all throughout April, no doubt, because it's just going to take that amount of time to get them out. So... yes, and that will be a big help to us, and I think just a great way to have a bit of a community event get together as well. So yes, we definitely will, mate. I don't know at what point. We'll kind of gauge it by what the weather's doing, I think, because who knows around the end of March into April what it will be, and obviously we want to make sure everything's right. What we'll do at that time is I'll start cooling all the fish down more and more, so I've got them sat ambient, which makes shipping a hell of a lot easier. And I think what we attacked last year is people who were a bit warmer, we got them out early doors, so they weren't being bumped back up again, and yeah, dealt with it all that way. So we will. But the nice bit about all this is you will have our new system at your fingertips by then, which I'm not quite sure how far we'll get with it, but the idea is you're going to be able to actually see your collection of fish, whatever fish you've got with me there in the system, and actually arrange and schedule your shipping through your own admin account, which is going to be really, really cool. And yeah, I believe that's the plan. It's going to make it a hell of a lot easier and be in control of it. So It's just a huge amount of data we need to port across, and obviously make sure there's no mistakes in that process as well. But I believe we should hopefully get that done properly. Hey, check that out. I've just got another one. That's 3 up now. No one's bought one yet, though. What's going off, ladies and gents, eh? Jesus, look at them. Absolutely banging. Yeah, like I said, in a minute, I'm going to get to them. Thank you. What do we think to this then, ladies and gents? Is it we're not leaving you with too many pauses in between all this, am I? Terry, oi, buddy. We're getting any closer to kickoff yet? Now 6:30. I'm going to get hungry soon as well. Marie, with the bloodlines being mentioned more and more, there doesn't seem to be much mention of the males, mostly the females. Is that due to the Grand Champions being mostly female? That seems to be the way that's just been done through the sort of. And let's not mistake here parent fish with bloodlines, because I've touched upon this a few times now, and that the whole bloodline aspect is. Yeah, the interpretation, and I think the relevance in bloodline to some degree for you as hobbyists is immaterial almost, because the main real purpose of understanding the bloodline, and when I'm asking breeders about this, like I said, they go to the furthest away point where that bloodline has come from that anybody possibly knows to understand it, looking at an inbreeding perspective and not wanting to get bloods too close. So give themselves the best fighting chance of getting, a stable spawning when they're doing it. And that to me says, I think, is pretty irrelevant, because if we take, what's a good example here? Well, let's take that Miss Toyota as an example. So I had that conversation. I'll have it again, where I discovered all of a sudden that part of the parent fish Miss Toyota is from is Black Lisa. That's what Hiroshi named that parent set. So we see. I'm not sure he's ever shared any pictures of her, and I know the characteristics quite well of the fish that come off of Black Lisa. Now, the bloodline, it's not until obviously I go and do a spawning and we throw up, there's a very heavy amount of what are technically kohaku in the spawning. So at that point, and I have this conversation with Nogami, ask him, he asked me the bloodline. I then say, oh, it's Black Lisa. He looks at me like I'm a moron. Didn't hide it either. Absolutely brilliant. And we then go on. From there, for me, I'm messaging Hiroshi then, going, what's the bloodline of Black Lisa parent set? And then he dives in. So it's Dainichi Buta cross with Okayama Showa, which is Momotaro, and then Mona Lisa males used. So from there, I go, right, okay, so we delve in further back now. And I go, okay, so I instantly go, well, Momotaro Showa came from Mako Kohaku. It was a descendant there. So the next time I'm having that conversation with Hiroshi, he goes to me, oh, no. He says it comes from Sankey. I'm like, fucking hell, yeah. That's how far back he'd gone, because everything at Momotaro ultimately then came from Sankey. It all started with the Mako Sankey. If you really want to go one further, the Momotaro Sankey descended and was created off of a Matsunosuke base. This is fucking wild, isn't it? So, but you think of the steps and how far removed that is from that actual parent fish, that is there anything in there really super relevant to you guys and that offspring? Because still, ultimately as well, that's all good having that bloodline. If that female fish they came from is like, 12 years old and never surpassed 70 centimeters, then don't be expecting it to throw big fish. There might be one that kind of skips it a little bit, but ultimately it's not going to be producing anything massive. So there's always that direct limitation. So I think more for you guys, it's more important to look a bit closer to home. So don't misunderstand when bloodline's being used, how that gets interpreted for breeding side, and breeders use that versus what realistically as a hobbyist you're looking at is that parent fish and a bit of information we can derive from it, because like I say, it's going to be filtered down. So in essence, we could say, oh my God, I mean, you know, part of the bloodline of that Black Lisa offspring is Matsunosuke Sankey, if you want to go all the way. But at that point, he's already said it's a crossing of Dainichi Buto and Okayama Showa. So you split there 50%, and then you chuck in the Mona Lisa blood as well. It's just mass dilution away. So, and I've gone a bit off topic there. I've gone off topic that much. I'm completely distracted myself from what I'm meant to be doing, which is uploading fish to a website. The male part of it, I don't know why they don't get more involved in that. I mean, Sakai document them in their parent fish catalog when they do it, but it seems to be, I think, probably because the female fish is the prestigious one, ultimately the one that really gets the size, and we'll see more in time. I've already, you know, from my spawning, it's very, very clear that the body genetics have come from the female. And it'd be interesting over time for me to see and truly learn firsthand what characteristics I think are getting passed down from the female in spawnings, and what important part it plays in it all. But I've not got enough first-hand experience right now to really delve into that. And when I've not got that experience, I don't like to just chat shit about it, which seems to be popular. Right, moving on. So when's the next fish house project? You're all out of space. Yes, pal. I can't even think about that right now. You'll literally melt my brain. So moving on. I'll tell you what, I am going to take a moment right now to crack on and get another fish on. Then after this, I'll get another question, and I'm going to have a look through these NND Sankey. What have I got? Make sure I'm on the right one here. Got a bit of a Maritinier the Benny on this thing that's about to go on the website. Is absolutely nuts. It takes video about 20 minutes to get on though. It's ridiculous. So what I normally do when I'm prepared, and if I'm doing this moving forwards, I'll be more prepared, is just upload them as a batch beforehand so it can do all its processing and get all that shit out of the way, which speeds it up massively. There we go. Right, what have we got? What would you say, Aragoki Koi, what would you say is the optimal temperature for gaining growth and length in Tosai without breaking the heating bank? It's just one of them things you can't compromise. You're 22 or 25. At 25, you'll get them flying. 22, they'll still grow incredibly well, possibly a bit bulkier at that temperature level. So unfortunately, it's one of them things. It's finding the most efficient way of getting the heat in my opinion, at that point, to stop it breaking your bank. So, and seemingly for you guys, it seems to be heat pumps. I would still argue that possibly the fossil fuel methods for winter, especially at them really high temperatures, might be slightly more efficient. But I've got no data on that again, so probably just chatting shit. All I can base it on is my what I think I get heated from my boiler system. And although obviously it's not cheap, because I'm ripping best parts of anything from 2.5 to 3,000 liters of oil a month. If you compare that to anything around electric for the amount of clout I'd have to have, I just don't think it compares in the slightest. There we go. I'm cooking again here. What else have we got? Chris is at Chagor is coming tonight. Yes, you need to stop mithering though, pal. You really do. They're gonna be a while. What's Jonathan? What's your thoughts on Mariyama Showa? I love Mariyama Showa. I think they are fantastic. He does them a little bit like Nogami does Showa now. I've been concentrating on them a bit more this year. I mean, Nogami Showa are just dreamy like the Kohaku are. And there's a lot of similarities in the two farms in that they're both Dainichi, Obi-Kai. Gone off topic there again, Anna, but hey, it's all information. Both Dainichi, Obi-Kai trained at a similar time as well, which is really cool. Both have Kohaku that originates from Kagura and have the Kagura Beni, which is really, really spectacular and special stuff. 26. And as for the show, yeah, it's more of a minority production at the two farms. I mean, Mariyama himself has won the All Japan show with Kohaku and Showa, albeit both fish were bred by him but not raised by him through to that award. That was done by other individuals. But yeah, like I say, not a main part, but they have them really great depth of quality to them as well. Very similar to Nogami. Nogami's had a very concentrated effort on Showa in the past couple of years, actually coming from an Ikarashi Kazuto bloodline parent fish, which is seriously cool. And it's developed, in their instance, some nice characteristics. As Chikara says, they look beautiful, very young, i.e. the Sumi's up, and they just go on from there, which is... yeah, I can't disagree with that statement. And seeing as I've got a truck ton of them swimming around as well, all looking fantastic and beautiful, as he says, it's very hard to be argued with. And it's quite nice because not everybody wants to wait, and it's not like you are that they've just the quality's not there and it doesn't last. It does. It's been proven. And there's nobody contesting the quality of a Kazuto fish either, because they were the ultimate, and longevity was absolutely at the base of everything that guy did, from breeding methodology, bloodlines, job lot, you name it. That's another one on, ladies and gents. Done the grand total of 4 in 42 minutes. So yeah, not the most efficient method of me loading them up, but we're having fun, aren't we? Ricky, with names like Monkey or Dragon, are these names chosen by the breeder? Yes, they are chosen by, or do they have specific meaning or origin? Possibly. I'm not sure. I don't always, ask the question, to be honest. So sometimes they do. Obviously, the Dragon bit works because it's around Aragoki based fish, and the big scales, like the scales on a dragon. That one, the Monkey, I've actually got no freaking idea where that one come from. And always being quite creative with their names. The Japs is brilliant. So, but yeah, I think the Yellow Monkey one is probably fair to say has gotten a bit out of hand. I am glad they've sort of started cleaning it up themselves a little bit, because it is ultimately not a variety. It is a parent fish bloodline, if you like. There's a prime example of all that stuff, coming back to that bloodline conversation as well, because you've got the origins of all that stuff at Dainichi ultimately comes back from one pool, which was, you can only be described it as a massive orgy, really, is what was going off with that lot. But the base of it all, even like Zeus and the rest of it, is just a giant Karashigoi that was mixed with all kinds of different males. Absolutely wild. While you're off topic, what you got United scores? I've just had a scroll down to a bit further down in the comments. Right, anyway, let's have a look at these NND Sankey, and I'm going to tell you what you're all been missing out on, because it shocked me that it didn't just get snapped up as stuff often does. God, I can hear Arthur gobbing up upstairs on his game. Unbelievable. Walk into her, she got Harriet playing her iPad as loud as she possibly can. Arthur screaming at his computer. I'm sure a few of you feel the pain. Right, let's have a look. Let's load this up. So these NND Sankey are a selection from the batch that I'm going to say stole away during the summer. So I got these at the second culling when I was there and bought the whole lot, claimed the mud pond with it, and did the rest of the selections myself from there on in. And it was amazing because that obviously gave me the opportunity to get so many fish in there I might not normally get access to, bundle it all in. It's been some great value fish come out of it. And some of those I offered for the first time the other day, and they're on here. So you can see a few did get snapped up. But there's a couple here in particular. Now, it's not always, I think this one, I mean, if we start with this look, definitely to me, I think it jumped out. Absolutely wild. I mean, just look at its skin quality level, massive mouth on it. The balance of the pattern as it sits is flowing. I mean, I can see the sumi sat on the shoulder here, look, which is really good. And this part is really going to play a big part, piece of Subo Sumi in that pattern moving forward. So will this here. You see, when I look at a fish like that, I can start to see this potential movement in Sumi there. But you look at the flow, look, you've got Kasani Sumi, Subo Sumi there on the Shiroji as well. But it's the balance, it's the quality of it. This has got really elevated skin quality level. You can see the Marizomi Kiwa, the Sashi, it's really subtle, which is at Nisai onwards, there's going to be a great level of refinement there already, which is really cool. But it's when you look at it here on the Sumi look and that back edge, Marizomi forming already on the Sumi, which is the highest level of quality. When you get this level of quality of Kiwa on the Sumi at this point, it's just an indicator of absolute depth of quality. Then the way that Benny pattern flows, look, breaks down a bit here, but then the Sumi gets a bit heavier and the Sumi is going to be a bit lighter up top, which compensates for it. All very, very good things pointing to me. It's just a very high level Tosai. So it's including the growing, even at the whitetail stop look, Sumi just there. I mean, it's perfect where that's placed. But yeah, I'm looking at that going, wow, that's a banging Nisai there in the making. So we've got growing included in that. I don't know if it got missed. It's there, look, free growing until end of March, and there definitely will be the option to take that one further because I know that's just going to be absolutely popping. So likely in the end, the option to grow that through to a full-blown Nisai. And when you start looking at that, even with a growing fee on top, 495 and whatever extra growing it ends up being, that's potentially a Nisai there. If that turns to be female, is easy in the £1,500 to £2,000 realm, and a fish I'd normally be stashing for a bloody good while. So yeah, I think there's a massive, it's just an absolute gem in the making, and one of them, even if you're not super seeing it now or bought in, trust me, that's a fish there that I will be more than happy to end up keeping. Don't get me wrong, they'll not be on the website forever, but yeah, I was a little bit shocked it didn't get absolutely snapped up. So, and it screamed NND Sankey to me, that one. We speak of bloodline like we have been doing. That's so the bloodline of these you would describe as this modern day, it's Sakai cross Sadazo or Sadazo cross Sakai, because the absolute origin of Marusho Sankey was sat in Sadazo back in the day, and what they did was this kind of skin quality you saw, and the small refined, what Makoto used to call blue Sumi, because you'd get that kind of underlying bit of sashi just near it as it matured, which looked a bit blue, and absolutely amazing. You can see elements of it on that bit actually around. I'm clicking wrong screen there like a turkey. Oh, I don't know what the flip I've done there. Yeah, there, look. that bluey part, but really small, tight, refined sumi, which I know is very popular in Sankey, and why they were. Their issue was they kind of always maxed out around 70 to 75 centimeters. So, and I saw this at NND because at some point they actually really distracted me from my work now as well, Anna. When NND formed that same year, because they had more facilities, they went, right, we're going to raise jumbo Tosai. That's exactly what they started doing. So they just start pummeling these fish with food, bigger ponds doing it. And yes, they did. I mean, they were basically looking a year older than what they normally did, size-wise. Problem is the fish weren't carrying the weight. And these big, huge Nisai, I still remember them. They just looked fat and overfed because they weren't carrying it. So it was in 2009. I was out there again on work experience during the summer, doing some spawning this time. And this Sankey got slipped into a net. And I was like, that's different. Where's that from? Oh, my fish. I thought, yeah, bollocks. It just didn't look like an NND Sankey whatsoever. And they didn't actually tell me the truth till about 6 months later that it was actually from Sakai. And it amazed me to see how quickly it changed the overall impression of their fish. So yeah, that's the origins of it. And since then, Marusho Sankey have been raising up to, oh crikey, well, I mean, he's a collection still in that pond of fish over a meter, plenty hitting the 90 mark. They do it consistently. It's genetic powerhouses. So fair play for them doing that at a time. And then on to this one. This one I can see it is a bit more of a conundrum, if you like, because of where it's at. But the potential is vast. I mean, a marathon style pattern for a start, absolutely dreamy. And I like the balance of the Benny. Now, what I'm really not looking at, because I don't look too much into it right now, is this bit of sumi here, that's Subo sumi, katasumi on the shoulder, where you know, it's just so desirable to have it for Sankey. Going to play a huge part in that. I actually think that over the next phase of growth will vanish, and a lot of this blue you see around will also vanish as that shiroji actually thickens. And then you've got the fish itself, look. So forget most of this sumi even back here, but we start looking at what will be later in life, the potential, because it will resurface. It's already shown the signs, so it'll come back. But as it does come back, it'll come back thicker and shinier. You start looking at the balance of sumi around that fish and where it's going to drop in as Subo sumi there. On that, with that Benny pattern, as that body blows up, the Benny at the moment is not even, you know, kind of blitzing through. You're going to get more refinement in the keyword because not all the pigments spread to the edge across these areas at the moment, but that will come. And there's a real diamond in the rough there with that one. But again, it's got to play out. And hence, you know, when I come to, and it's why I often don't put fish like them up for sale, because what you're looking at is that diamond in the rough. And for me, I'm looking at a Nisai and its potential Nisai value to keep it. But you can't front load all of that because there are risks along the way. So obviously I do put guarantees around that quality and bits and bobs, because I'm confident in its development moving forwards. But right now you're paying a price. So to me, it's undervalued. That as a Nisai around 50 cm, as a male with anywhere near that kind of quality is a 995 fish. Female, you're going to go 1,500 quid, possibly up to £2,000, depending exactly how good it gets. So some insight there into the mindset on that one, what I'm looking at anyway. Yes, but he's shouting at people on Fortnite is Arthur. Yeah. Very colourful language as well at times, to be honest. And I tell you what, I've got no idea where he gets it from. It must be his mother. Absolutely shocking. Right. Anyway, I'm going to get set back. So yeah, guys, there's some pieces on there. They're not going to be there forever. Even this one, look, actually. Let's just have a look at that one before I get back to actually loading some fish up. That's happening very slowly. Now this thing's going to be a real grower. You can just see in the way its body line set. Now, great imposing head pattern. Everything there, look, the whole flow, elegance, skin quality, Maruzomi Kiwa around here. And that potential Sumi distribution, you see some creeping in here, likely fill in. Just look at that, look. Flow, elegance, Odame, really technical pieces there to it. This pattern element of the Shiroji, and even there, look, will become so much more prominent when that fish becomes bigger. Be really hard to picture that sometimes, but you get that kind of lift in the pattern, and as it does, it's transformational. But you see the great length on this body. It just screams. I mean, it's a big long head look. And then you've got that length in the body, good distance from the back of the head to the backbone. But this taper all the way down here, so that to me, that's got good thickness. It's the right level of thickness at the peduncle there. And that flow as it goes down, that great length. And like I say, just that steady taper, that's screaming to me that that's going to grow. And you're going to get that build out of weight slowly, but it's not going to hold back. And to me, I mean, from where they're at now till the end of March, you're going to clump some good size onto it. But for 295 quid, that's just a hell of a fish for what is already in old terms classed as jumbo Tosai, but certainly be a lot closer to the more modern specs by the time it's done. So that's them, ladies and gents. And you see them few Toyota bits. Right, let me see where the chat is at. Dave Berry, Ricky, does it make much difference if your air bar is a foot, 2 foot deep to the bottom of the pond? Any preference? I mean, I always have mine on the bottom. I like, obviously, when I'm using it for that current, I think it might build a little bit more velocity as it comes up if it's a decent air pump to get that blow across. But yeah, I think other than that, no, it's not going to make too much difference at all. Might just with your obviously circulation down at the bottom, drawing from a bit further down, but it's not something I think about or obsess about too much. It's just I want to get it in there. It's more the placement of where it is I like to consider. Right, let me just get back to my screen a minute and find my next victim. I've got a lot of these to work through, by the way, folks. So we're not gonna get them all on tonight, but there's Showa to come, Pandora Showa, and we've also still got Hiotsuris to come as well. We've got all that pond put back together properly today. Crack them on the food, especially the grow on ones now, and really test them things out and see what they can do. I've seen what they can do, to be fair. Oh, this one actually is an absolute banger that I'm about to load up. Kowaku. I think its skin, its pattern, really different head pattern to it as well. Let me just get the picture and video doing what it needs to do, and I'll revert back to the chat. There we go. Right, let's have a look. Craig, have you ever used Takazumi color food in the past? I know you've tried most. I have used Takazumi, yes. When I tried it, saw no improvement. When I moved to Sake, yeah, it's just not the same. It's not. Good color enhancement needs to come from very high quality spirulina. And when you see one of those pellets, it will go through different shades of green to the sake color where it almost looks black. That's when you know you've got the real good shit. So that's why a lot of this stuff, other color enhancement, can come from the likes of krill meal, shrimp, stuff like that. They're the worst ones because all that does is create a bit of a glow in the skin. And it's very, you remove the food, you remove that as well. It's very fake enhancement. Nothing like that comes from, and hence why I said at the beginning of the video that it's only really those 2 Japanese ones. The Coppens one, I can't lie, used to do a good job. It wasn't as concentrated, but it's the best outside of there I'd seen. But obviously you guys know the reasons why I moved away from that stuff. I don't even know if it was the poultry meal spread across even those, but when I'm in on a brand, I'm in on it, and I'm only using that one food because I want to obviously know what I'm doing with them foods, mix it, blend it, do as I want to, without getting 2 different diets kind of working against each other, if you like. So yeah, it's an interest, and it's why it's expensive, because spirulina is a bloody expensive ingredient as well. So when I see, especially when I then see these fucking all-in-one superfoods, you know, that do growth and they do fucking color enhancement and make your fish grow to 130 centimeters in 4 months, absolute waffle. It's just not, it's not for me, because I know there's compromises somewhere in all that. And the Colour Foods, it's a serious product. I spent most of my childhood, let's say, or younger years in Koi, which was my childhood, you know, clearly knowing that people didn't, that there was a thing that used to go around amongst the show circuit back then that basically like Colour Food was cheating. And I was like, I've already been to Japan at this point. I've seen every fucking breeder using it. And I'm just thinking, what absolute shit is being waffled here, which is what it was. And then it wasn't until I got the chance to delve in and do an interview series for Koi magazine back in the day. I took the same script of questions to about 8 different breeders, I think, just to get their opinions. And one of the ones I asked is their opinion on Colour Food. And every one of them spoke about its necessity to actually get colour to finish and get colour to its peak, which naturally is probably not going to happen. And then you get to a Hiroi, for example. It's just like, yeah, you know, for 2 months of the summer, typically, like for his goshki, we just feed 100% Colour Food, because they're fighting against obviously lack of light in the mud pond and the sheer intensity of the growth. And they just literally saying, you know, without it, we can never get that colour to its optimum state. And then we go, you know, even further. This one still blows my mind. Work experience time I shared at Nogami, where things have always been done to a different level. Something I picked up very, very early. And just about to get this Kohaku on now. And trust me, this one is an absolute banger. Very different pattern, skin. It's got a fantastic set structure. It's not as traditional, which will appeal to some and not to others, but I think it's a very nice piece, which is going live now. Yeah, Nogami. So we're loading the truck up one day. We're off up into these mud ponds, and this random bag, I had no idea what it was. We're looking away like, well, what's this then? Plant fertilizer. So we was off to bomb some of the ponds with plant fertilizer to cultivate more algae, i.e. spirulina, in there to get that Benny popping. There we go. How important do you think it is when you've got breeders going to that extent in a mud pond? It's absolutely wild. Just share that one look with you now. Very different. Look at that. Say, I mean, really, it's a 3-step with that bit on, but look at that. It's almost like a bit of memoir, and then that little bit of Coochie Benny on the nose. That's got a hell of a bone structure, and there's the skin, as is with most of them. But I think because there's a bit more shiroji there, it's absolutely radiating. Good question, that Craig, anyway. Are you going to tell us we can add another 6 fish with that topic, Ricky? Absolutely. Just keep getting them in there. Get me sent in trouble at some point, aren't I? Oh, Matthew Gilmore. Was me with the topic of the shit in the pond, mate. Was more concerned that it might cause issues if not removed. Was just the difference in how much ended up in the filler. Yeah, 100%. And it was a good topic, mate. And I get people's concern. That's why I want to talk about it a bit more, because I just see these days where you know, all these talk of mud ponds right now. where the shit never leaves the pond. Admittedly, the massive bodies of water. Don't get me wrong. This is what I'll delve into tomorrow. But I see now people fucking scrubbing filters down to, can't even have a bit of algae on side of it. I just think, wow, you don't know. You're scrubbing that away. Trust me when I say you're scrubbing a load of fucking good stuff away at the same time, which is a part of this very, very important ecosystem. So that's why I want to get into that conversation, and that's what prompted it, and that has made my day. The driver's got an ETA of 10 p.m. on the shipment. That is fucking brilliant, because that can go horribly wrong. They actually landed. That means it'll just be loaded up now. It gives you some idea. Those fish landed at 3:30 this afternoon. And that's a good, speedy, efficient clearance. If he's just loaded them up now, yeah, 3 hours. The guys have done well there with that. I'm impressed. So fingers crossed. The driver don't hit any traffic. And bear with me, folks, because I just need to let Cole know. Otherwise, I'm unloading them on my own, and I'm not in mood for that. But yeah, coming back to it, Matt, I think it's a absolutely, sometimes it's the benefit of me having the crew. I know I'm not always in there replying to stuff because of time limitations, but when I do get, or something gets flagged up, it's something I can bring on here to discuss more, because I can see, where people are at, things that people are worrying about, and expand on it, which is a nice resource to have. Crikey, am I even going to get to see the end at match? 10 p.m. That's not cool, is it? All right, I'm about done with that. Cool. What shall we do now, eh? Hi, Rick. I did a scrape on my core yesterday. I found gill flukes on a couple of fish. What would you recommend to treat them with? I'm heated, 12 degrees at the moment. Yeah, it's a tricky one, because I'm normally gill fluke. I'll head towards Lernex. I tend to find it's bombed it really well. But there seems to be a higher chance using Lernex of getting secondary Costia. Not all the time. And I wouldn't, at 12 degrees, I wouldn't love you to get hit with that. But I'm not going to lie, I've been using, Fluke S, Cusoris Praziquantal on a batch I've needed to treat, and it fucking didn't even touch the sides. Pissed me off, because I've been looking around. I've got to say, right, it's just not something I have my head into. The fucking price of these fluke treatments now is absolutely mind-blowing. I actually remember Lernex back in the day. I mean, the trade cost of it now is what we used to sell it for. I sold Lernex when it just come out into the marketplace, along with Alperex, my dad's shop, and it does blow my mind where that's all at now. You don't want these things just to have to keep hitting and hitting. I can really see the weight and strain that's going to put on people's hobby. It's shite. So my gut feeling would be to go with Lernex and just say, be careful and just look out for potentially secondary Costia cropping up, because it does just seem to be the most frequent instance of it. And at 12 degree, you might, I think at 7 days at that, you want to probably be retreating to make sure you break the cycle. When will the hoodies be dropping? Not 100% sure yet, Dean, but we are making massive headway on that. As soon as I've got proper sign off on the final ones, like I say, we'll probably stick a pre-order out, so you're going to be getting one, and go from there. But it is going to be a limited drop. Oh, there's a good one. I'll tell you what, let me just get set for the next fish I'm doing. And then Shane is asking me where I think the koi industry is heading with my favorite topic of all the misinformation on the internet. Nice. Right. Oh, somebody's just bought a fish. Which one's gone? I bet it's that koaku. That's a fruity little piece, that. Tom's not. No? Sankey. Sankey's gone. No? No idea. Yeah, I'm absolutely clueless there. Anyway, something's just gone according to me, my phone. There we go. I might have got some stock or something wrong. Who knows? It has. Why is that not updated then? You see, this was always my fear, weren't it? That I was going to absolutely scramble some up here. So just bear with me a moment, ladies and gents. Zero in stock, but it's not updating on Frontier website. Might be my browser just catching a little bit. Anyway, I'm happy with that. There's no stock zeroed, so we're not going to be website's not going to be double selling. It was actually that one that's gone with that really cool Marathon face pattern. Right, anyway, back to what I was doing, and then back to that question in a moment. Let me find the next one. Oh yeah, this one again really surprised me that it didn't get snapped up. What I always love about these events, seeing people's different choices and bits and bobs as you go through it, is really fascinating to see. Right, let me get me once I've got my media loading, we'll come back and answer Shane's question. But before I do, ladies and gents, tell me, what do you think? How, because I don't consume all that much stuff. When I do, it's often when you hear me come on here or on TikTok or something and have a rant at some absolute load of fucking waffle I've had to listen to, thinking, oh my God. So how do you guys find it? Because there's going to be pros and cons to having so much information available. There'll be good, bad. Let me know. I'll dive down there to the bottom of the comments when I've got to this in a moment. But it's always, I think, important to for me to consider other people's opinions on it that I might miss. But I do often see myself banging my head against the wall, thinking, "Oh my days." I think it's for me, before I get into that, is I love it, like the Humber Koi lads. You know, I've seen a few other videos, think, that's fucking brilliant. Nice, really nice effort on the video, and just sharing, vlogging, sharing, not necessarily saying this is that, this is that. I think, I come out here and did that all these years ago because I feel like I can absolutely back up anything I come on here and speak about through my own experiences, and in most cases actually physically show you examples as well, because I only pass on my first-hand experiences generally, and I think that's important. And most out there who, I think we've had one particular example where it seems to have fucked off now as well, thank God, where, I mean, my God, it just literally learning as from a dealer perspective. This is where my gripe comes in more so. It's where it crosses onto that side of the fence. And I think we've literally seen it where, learning live on YouTube, so to speak, or while on the videos, but that potentially being passed on as information can be so confusing and misleading. And I just wish, I'm up for anybody getting into the koi game. I think it's all good. Competition is healthy. It drives people. It pushes people. It's a good thing, and everybody's got the right to come into a job and learn as well. I just don't think they should be learning on YouTube when people can literally take things so literal and misunderstand, the level of somebody they might be watching. And it's hard. I mean, I've had to watch, and I've seen quite a bit of my own stuff, and it was never there for obviously my thought process in any of this content is to enhance you guys as fish keepers, not thinking people could take that and obviously ultimately learn and potentially grow into the industry. But it happens. But to see it then so much it actually be regurgitated without understanding it, and see how fucking poorly that comes across, someone trying to make himself look smarter than they are, is yeah, scary. Scary is the word for it. This is an absolutely delightful marathon piece I'm loading up here. But I hope you've I've not dived down yet. I will do in a minute. We'll touch upon this. Dive down in them comments and see your thoughts on it. Love this. The Benny's got a little bit more softness to it on this one as well, which is going to be a real indicator to its core. I can quite picture what this color is going to be like, sort of Nisai on this one. I just wish I had more space in that pond where I'm growing the first batch to actually get some of these whacked in there, but unfortunately I haven't. That's the way it goes. Has anyone had enough of me yet either? We've done some pretty hefty long live streams at the minute, haven't we? Had another funny, not a complaint. Just when I hear that again, say, fucking my wife's sick of hearing your voice. Absolutely cracks me up. I've heard that so many times now. Funnily enough, my wife says she don't hear enough of my voice as well. I think that's the funny bit in all that, isn't it? She never wants to talk about fish, though, funnily enough. I think she'd hear a lot more of it if she wanted to. Boom. That one is going live. That is a banger. Really, really great piece. See that one there, look. Incredible subtlety and softness to that Benny, and absolutely when you see that element and that element there will 100% separate more as the fish grows, because the thing kind of joining it at the minute is the sashi on that second dan, and that will tighten. So as that pulls away, that tightens a bit, there'll be a lot more definition, but that slightly heavier pattern look is offset. This shiroji here and then the Odame is what really adds the balance into that one with the marathon head pattern. I think that's a really, really lovely, lovely fish. Right, let's see what you've had to say about Shane's question of where do you think the koi industry is heading, and what do you think of all the misinformation out there on the internet? I mean, let's face it, there's been loads of it on the internet for years. It just seems the influence, and I'm aware the influence YouTube has. I've seen it, hence why I'm very, very careful about when I give information. I grew up in an environment, the time at my dad's shop, I absolutely adored. So it was an aquatic shop. I'm dealing with people, so many first-time fish keepers in tropical, pond, koi, even marine. And I just learned away from seeing my dad as well, where customer success as a fish keeper was our primary intention. Because just to think, you know, you hope that sort of mentality that we make them a successful fish keeper, there'll be some gratitude in there, and hopefully you build some loyalty from that customer and they keep coming back. That's the mentality behind that. And I get used to dealing with, you just learn, you know, you learn to get when people are maybe holding stuff back or something doesn't make sense in the jigsaw when you're trying to piece it all together. And just to talk people, you know, I back then, I absolutely loved, believe it or not, all the sciencey stuff of koi keeping, absolutely soaked it up. It's all in here. I've just got a natural knack of converting it into very plain English. You know, I can read this stuff, understand it, get my head around it, but I just think, what's the point? You know, it's no good me, you know, coming or having somebody who's a first-time fish keeper coming to me and me talking about test kits in all their the scientific forms, NO2 and NH3 and all the rest of it, bump goes over people's heads. Still remember somebody now back in the day was obsessed with wanting to try and talk about it like that. So then we have to rev it up, don't we, and show him who's boss. But it just weren't the way I've ever delivered it. So, but you spend all that time, so then and then when you've seen people, you get advice about potassium, and someone's gone away, and despite really laying everything out, they've gone and weighed in ounces instead of grams and things like that. And they're probably lying about the size of the pond, especially when you've got somebody stood in your shop pacing it out, telling me the depth up to the hip, and it's from there to there. I just think, right, take all this with a pinch of salt, and then adjusting. In that case, the experience, the advice you possibly give based on the person in front of you. I'm not, if I'm worried that they're probably not even getting the pond volume right, I'm not going to go recommending that somebody uses a dicey dose of a medication or sticks that extra 10 gram in or whatever. You've got to be really careful. And that I bring through into this now, be very mindful, hence with the YouTube, the potassium stuff. Still sat on it because I've got to make sure that there's no, if I start talking about how I've been using that, there's no misinterpretation in there. Someone goes away and just absolutely destroys their collection of fish. We just don't want that to happen. So it's tough. And then you've got advice where, over years it's come from based on what somebody can sell you, which is the absolute worst type, or advice based on somebody's loyalty to a brand. And that in a selling perspective, that might be a brand where, yes, they genuinely might like it and have experience with it, or a brand where they're making the most amount of money, and it skews it. Hence why I absolutely love my position right now. I really refuse to get into the dry goods game, even those where it's brands I align with, because I just think that I'm best out of it. Because then you guys know when I'm genuinely talking about something, it's for all the right reasons, and I don't want that to be any other way. But yeah, it's tough, but it's always been there. I think the onus, and I've said this before, comes on to you guys actually a little bit more, and judge of character. And if you're gonna trust or listen to somebody, have a bit of a delve into the background. It's quite simple, isn't it? How long has this person been doing it? What are the credentials of this person? Whenever I get into something, let's talk about, because I can, my love for music and my car audio, because of the way I like to enjoy music, which is absolutely obliterating my eardrums, bass that makes me chest shiver, but also then, maximum quality to all that as well. You get into something, I'm into that, and what do I go looking for? I start looking for what I consider as the best around, because I know what I want, but I don't know how to get it or deliver it. And then I start assessing. You get word of mouth first of all, which is less these days, I think, more obviously online. But then you just look. I fell across word of mouth on a local company in Sheffield. Then you actually get there and speak to the guy, understand, feel the passion, the knowledge, the demo cars they can sit you in. I think any business where they're spending money, their own profits on stuff like that really, really says a lot. All the trophies up there from awards and stuff they've won, and then how the customer service came across. I was hooked, and sure enough, these guys are just renowned within their own job for what they do, and they've never steered me wrong up to the current system that sits in my van. So I think there's a lot of onus on that assessment. Let's face it, you can't even fully trust written reviews these days. It's difficult. So, look what's behind it. And the, reference I just make early on in this is quite a simple one, in that, to me, sort of said person was really, really, fucking, they've done the job for all the fucking 5 minutes. How can anybody, there's you guys watching it, probably had more fucking experience than that person who's just a fucking, charlatan. I think that's the only word for that one. But because he's on YouTube doing it, you start to, unfortunately, some people just connect them two dots and go, oh, he must know what he's doing. And that's what frightens me with it. So I think ultimately it just comes down to being sensible. about how you weigh somebody up. With the misinformation, this is Marie, we don't pay much attention. We went back to basics a time before starting to follow you, and I'm so thankful for your ethos validates what we've been doing. It works fantastic. Mickey, I think it's worth watching YouTube koi content with a bit of caution. Some hobbyists, especially new ones, may take everything at face value. Yeah, exactly, that's it, including advice or products being promoted. Absolutely agree. And Mickey, watch the Leeds game. I mean, seriously, mate, it was proper football on telly tonight. Proper football. It really is at minute. Nobody could actually argue with that right now. Let's just hope it stays. Aaron, what's the growing fee for Nisai? We've not set it yet, pal. We're getting close. I'm going to get the rate card done and released so people know where that's sits at. But if you are tempted to buy out, drop me a DM, mate. We'll see where we're at. Are the NND saying parent fish their own or from other lines? Yeah, just coming back to that now. It is their own now. That's the interesting thing, because you get to a point where there's no external blood coming back in to the bloodline. So what happens there is they're actually, line breeding from their own males and females, which is producing consistent traits. I've been doing that for a long time. So it's very much NND, Marusho, Sankey. Let's see if I missed out here. Oh dear, Carl. Taxman's hitting with a huge bill. We don't like the taxman, do we? We really don't. Mickey, your knowledge of bloodlines and the original origin of those bloodlines is truly outstanding. Thank you. Not that I'm obsessed with it or anything, but you can see how crossing two koi bloodlines, you get these amazing offspring. Yeah, there's a lot of luck in there as well, Mickey, but it's always one that's fascinated me, completely fascinated me, and a hell of a lot to learn. So, and there still is now, you dive and dive and dive. And I'm just very lucky that I can converse with people enough now that it's when you really start getting into it and the depth some of them are going into and the different angle it's sort of taking. But still, a lot of what I know about fish development is very little to do with the bloodline a lot of the time, and more to do with my absolute first-hand experience of having had those fish and raised them firsthand and actually physically seeing the traits and characteristics that come through. Nothing actually beats that, to be honest. But it's the hardest one to gain. Absolute decades of doing it en masse. I think, ladies and gents, my throat is so freaking dry that I think I've actually covered all the bits of questions. Oh no, hang on. Mark's got one here. Ian Rick, I'm having a sump made for my shower, so the bottom drain tier will sit 6 inch under pond level, so no crashing. Water at the surface. I've seen this a few farms. Do you think there's any pluses? Excuse me. I like the crashing. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you don't want it, fair enough, but the crashing, that sort of rain effect, very good for the gas exchange at the surface and stuff like that. But I get it's noisy and frustrating, but I think it's good to consider what you're wanting to get from a shower and then reverse engineering that back and going, well, is it actually worth it if I'm not doing X, Y, or Z? I.e., if your only real space to get biocapacity is to go up, then it makes sense. But if you're really wanting the sort of gassing effects more so, just consider that in the design and bits and bobs. Yeah, what I'm going to do, ladies and gents, they're sat there. I do need to really go away and concentrate on that. I'm hungry and my throat is drying up and I ain't got a drink in here. So before I do go, let me know, what did you think? How was this while I'm working and my attention's split? And I've got to say, I'm not going to do it if I've got a shitload to upload as I have, but maybe something in there moving forward while I'm sat doing it. So, yeah, there we go. There we go. Always happy to listen to feedback. I always like trying new stuff as well. I was actually more prepared. I've been able to blitz through them. But clearly, as you can see as well, you get me talking about koi, and I get too distracted anyway. But there we go. Fingers crossed for an absolutely epic result, because that kid's after an haircut as well, isn't he, tonight, if we actually do the business. So happy days, and fingers crossed for a successful shipment. And you're going to absolutely love one of the ones I've got, which is going to be an epic grow out for you guys to watch this year, one that's never been on the channel, closely linked to that of another breeder that I do adore, particular bloodline, and just a great variety all around that tends to be popular. Really can't wait. So yeah, there we go, ladies and gents. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. And like I said, I'm going to go and rehydrate, feast even, and yeah, get cracking. But keep your eyes on the website. I'm going to there's so many of them Toyota fish to go and browse through. And like I say, Showa, Kohaku, and Hiyotsuri, all three. I'll catch you tomorrow night. Remember the topic and get armed with the questions for me.